is the rule of thirds. Okay, so the rule of thirds is in, well, photography and composition and in film. It's a rule that states that you have to divide your frame into 9 equal parts, and then when you divide them, you're gonna have 4 cross points. And a lot of cameras, like the one I'm using right now, which is the Canon 7D, it has it has the grid on it. It has the grid which divides the frame into 9 squares, right? So it kind of helps out a lot, especially if you're like a beginner. It helps out with your composition to place your subjects on those points. Yeah, so that's what the rule of thirds is. It's just you divide your frame into those 9 equal squares, and then you place what you want people to look at, what you want your viewers to pay attention to. You place it on one of those cross points on the 9 squares. That's pretty much what the rule of thirds is place your subject or whatever you want the viewers to look at first, or whatever you want, or whatever is important in that frame or in that image. Place it on one of those points, and when you place it on one of those points, it makes sense. The picture, the video, whatever makes sense, So that's what people state as rule of thirds. That's what it does. When you place whatever you want people to look at, especially people's eyes, on that line, on one of those cross points, it makes a lot of sense. Especially, like, let's say, it depends on what you are actually, what your image is, or in this point, it depends on the film and what's in that clip, what's in that motion picture that you're trying to, to stand out. What that thing is, you place it on one of those dots there. So I'll put a grid in most of throughout this video. I'll put the grid so we can see if I follow the rule of thirds. Okay, guys, so the rule of thirds, it's used a lot in a lot of big movies. A lot of these big movies in Hollywood use this so-called rule of thirds, a guideline of composition. A lot of these movies use it, and I personally feel like a lot of people on YouTube, when they're explaining, they make it like, it's like the most important thing, and every movie has it, and there's a lot that goes into this rule of thirds and this and that. I feel like they've helped mystify this so-called rule of thirds, by them putting too much importance on it. Oh, your picture is not a picture, your film is not a film if you don't, have the rule of thirds and this and that. Yes, it does help with the film, but it depends on what you are trying to portray in that certain film or in that certain scene, and you can't just follow that rule throughout the whole film or throughout the whole scene. It's not going to make sense. You have to make sense of the way you're framing everything in the film, in that scene. It does help, but I'm just saying, like, the way some people portray this in their videos, when they're explaining it, they explain it as if, like, if you don't use the rule of thirds in your films, then you are not a cinematographer, or your work is not cinematic. But it actually is. It's just, it depends on how you're using it and what kind of film. Because, I mean, when you're doing weddings, which a wedding, by the way, is a live event. A wedding is nothing whereby it's pre-planned, like, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. A lot of these weddings, you could try to plan them, but then again, you are not on set to where you can control everything. You can't control the lighting, the whole thing. Because these movies, when they're shooting movies like Lord of the Rings and, Game of Thrones and all these movies, the Avengers, all these movies are on set, so they control everything. They control what kind of light hits the face, what part of the face. They control the background, how people are walking, or what happens next here and there. They control everything. So that's why they can be able to, place things in certain parts of the frame. But when you're filming a wedding, you really have no control of the background of who's behind the bride and groom, or who's gonna walk here now and when and this and that, who's gonna say this and what kind of light is gonna come into the room, who's gonna turn their flash on, who's gonna take a picture, who's gonna interrupt you. So when you're filming a wedding, and a wedding is a run and gun type thing, it's, you know, it's hard to kind of follow everything in film composition. You know, it helps if you know a lot about film composition, which I'm trying to do in this series, is get you guys familiar with composition in film. But I'm going to be honest, I know these rules, but personally, I just be creative when I'm filming a wedding. I don't try and be like, oh, can you redo this so I can do the rule of thirds, or so I can, you know, use this leading line here, or so I can, you know, create contrast, or so I can make this a silhouette. Like, you really can't control a lot of things in a wedding. Those of you people that film live events know that you can't control anything at a live event. You know, that's why Janet Jackson, what happened to her at the Super Bowl with, you know, the whole wardrobe malfunction thing. If that was pre-recorded, or if that wasn't a live event, if everything was planned, that wouldn't have happened, you know. But the fact that that was a live event, there was little to nothing that anyone filming could have done, or, you know, they couldn't control the situation because it's a live event. So a wedding is a live event and things happen, so you can't really control a lot. You can't control a lot about the lighting and stuff like that, especially during, like, you know, the ceremony, whereby some of these couples are, like, you know, are in cathedrals. You can't go in there and tell the priest, like, oh, can you turn the lights up a little bit, or can you turn them low, or can you open these windows, or can you can't do anything at most of these venues during the ceremony or even during the reception. You know, you can't really do a lot. And some of these, like, lights that they have at these venues, whereby you can't even turn them up. Like, they're so dim that that's just how they are. Those lights are meant to be for reception. So you can't control a lot at a wedding. But in movies, they can control anything. They can control everything, you know. So that's what I'm saying. That's why you see them use all these composition tricks and techniques to their advantage, to their full advantage, because they can control everything on set. They can control how the wind blows. They can control the temperature of the room, everything. Anyway, so in order for you to break it, you have to know the rule first. So like I said, the rule is you place the thing of importance on one of those cross points, right? So breaking it is just not placing the thing of importance on those cross points. It's just placing it on a different spot in the frame. And also, if you are creative, the way you place your subjects in a frame can even be way better than placing it on one of those points. So it's just about what you want to portray and what you want out of a certain scene. So it's up to you, the filmmaker, to tell a story how you see fit. And, you know, everybody has a different style. So just the way you tell your story, it's just your style and how creative you are with your films and what you really want to portray in your films, what matters. It's not about this rule or that rule, or, you know, this here and that there. These things are just there to help you, especially when you're starting out. But once you become a professional, once you do this a lot, get into your own zone when you're filming these weddings, or when you're filming whatever you're filming. So, which leads me to the point which I told you, you have to know the rules before you break them, so that way you know if you're breaking it or whatever. But you just have to know the rules first, so that way you can know what the hype is about and all this stuff. You just have to know the certain stuff before, you know, breaking it. But honestly, you don't even have to know the rule to break it. I'm just saying, you just you don't have to always follow the rule. Because when I go to a wedding, honestly, when I step to a wedding, I don't go to a wedding saying, oh, I'm going to use them. I just frame the subject how I feel, how I see fit in a certain situation, in every situation. I don't be like, okay, I'm doing helps a lot, to balance your frame, to balance whatever the image, but it doesn't have to be about that. You just have to frame the scene how you want the scene to go, not how everybody else is saying it should go. Okay guys, so that's what I'm trying to tell you here. So in closing, I'm just going to say I don't really film with an intention to place the thing of most importance on one of these points, especially the fact that I film weddings, and weddings are run and gun, and like I said, it's hard to control everything on set at a wedding. It's not like you are filming a film where you can control everything. When you're doing a wedding, you can barely tell the bride to do this or do that. I just get creative and try and get as much out of as much cinematic stuff as I can during the wedding, because it's really hard to direct everyone, because you really can't. It's a live event, like I said. So all I'm going to say is, in closing, don't look at this rule like it's the most important rule. Look at this like, I don't even call it the rule of thirds. I just call it the rule of balance, because that's all it is you are trying to balance the subjects in the frame. You were trying to balance the frame. So instead of framing somebody all the way in the corner up there, or framing somebody all the way dead center to where they're not, like, you want to focus on something else that's also behind them, or something that's on their side, or something like that. You have to strategically frame whatever you're framing. So all it is, to me, how I look at it, is this rule should just be called the rule of balance, because that's the only thing that I see is like this rule is just this rule just helps people balance their image, just helps them balance the stuff in the frame. That's why it's used a lot in landscape, because you want them to either focus on either the sky or the field, the terrain, or whatever you want them to focus on. It's a way of creating balance in a motion picture or in an image. To me, honestly, that's all it is. Just like I'm saying, it's a rule of balance. It's a rule of how you should balance, or how to balance the subjects in your frame. So that's what it does. It helps you balance the subjects in your frame. That's what it is, guys. So that's the rule of thirds in film composition. It states that you place your important or thing or whatever you want the viewers to notice on one of the cross points, and it should be all good. You don't have to know the rule to break it, and you don't have to break it if you don't want to break it. But like I'm saying, it depends on what you're filming and what emotion you're trying to evoke in the viewers, or what you're trying to lead their eyes to, because that's all cinematography is. That's all film composition is for. Film composition is meant for you to control how your viewers feel and what they look at first and stuff like that. So whatever is going to be of most importance, or whatever you want them to notice in a film, you're gonna create the situation for them to notice that, or for them to feel that. So that's all composition. It helps you tell a story. It helps you direct the viewers to what to pay attention to what to look at first, or to what to look at next, or to how to feel in a certain situation. So that's why composition is important, to help control the viewer. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Hi, Nikki Gupta.
Hi, this is Pandu.
Hi, this is Shivakumar Ramachandra Varpu.
Please do subscribe Nikkitube.
Please subscribe Nikkitube.
Subscribe to Nikkitube channel. There's a lot of entertainment in it.